Thanks for staying with us. So President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, sacking the governor, his deputy, and the House of Assembly. According to him, the move was necessary due to the breakdown of law and order in the oil-rich state. Joining us to discuss the issue is a constitutional lawyer, Barrister Kabiru Akingbolu. You can also join the conversation on 02016352013 or 09024163440. Tweet us at TVC Connect using the hashtag YourViewTVC. Did I murder your name? Because I saw a look.
You got it well.
Oh, wow. So I saw the look and I flustered.
You have been used to me in the house and I'm used to the system.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So yesterday we started this conversation here. We thought it was play. Only for us to get home. We just had state of emergency. And people have been talking about it. Some people are saying that the president does not have, according to the constitution, cannot declare a state of emergency in a state that is not war. You know, I had to read a bit of the constitution today to see that there's supposed to be like war, disorganization, and some of those things listed in the constitution. Others are saying that he has the absolute right, because right now we're already hearing that some pipelines are being destroyed already. You know, governance is not happening. So tell us what you think.
Now, those who are saying that the president has the power or not, first of all, let us ask, as we are not in a pariah state. We are not under a military rule. Even if we are not in democracy, at least we're in civil rule. And we have done that for at least 26 years. So people should clap for us. We are there. Military is not coming back by its grace. Now, are we going to allow what happened in the past that has given military the right to come in? Are we going to give it right? It's either we choose to live in peace or we choose to live the other way. And again, any keen observer who is not biased and who is not partisan and who is not sentimental, we know that there must be a solution. And one of the solutions, you can solve problem by the psychologists say you can solve problem in a lot of ways. You can solve problem by confrontation, which is worse. You know, I beat you, you beat me. You can solve problem by compromise. Okay, let's come to the round table and talk our problem over. It will be a win-win situation. You can solve problem by do nothing. You just look. Whatever happens, let it happen. Now, the president has taken, he did not take the first option because it's the worst one, the do nothing thing. Initially, he started it, he was just watching like a bat, to use the word of Fayoshi. Now later, he came back and called the warring parties, all the gladiators to Abuja. That's last year. And he spoke with them. Say, okay, go and put your house in order. I know what some leaders will have done in the past. They will have, taken advantage of it to say, oh, since it's not my party, I can make the place not to be governable. But the president didn't do that. I have said it somewhere in another forum that the president has been unpretentiously magnanimous, unprecedentedly, in fact. Obasanjo cannot take half of this, 1/3 of this. He will have declared the state of emergency. However, now, he called all of them, spoke with them. They went back to Rivers. They pretended as if all was well for about 1 or 2 weeks. One of the problems that our leader used to have is their age sometimes. The governor wasn't talking. The aide started talking that, oh, what is the business of the president with this? It's just, prognosing into the affairs of Rivers State. Rivers is not Lagos, this and that. They started talking. Before you know it, he started working in the minds of the governor and he started playing the other way. And instead of him to put the house together, he couldn't do it and everything went back. The simulated piece of the graveyard returned to crisis. And they started again. Oh, some people have resigned from the house. Some have not resigned. They went to court. The court has declared they have given a judgment. Now, something is very, very, key here. Later, the president, after the Supreme Court judgment, did not even close his eyes. He summoned them again through Pandef. The governor was there. The stakeholders in the Niger Delta, they were there. He spoke with them. Go and put your house in order. That is the second or third time. They did not still listen. My brother, look at it. The first one, do nothing. He didn't talk to them. He allowed them to solve it. They didn't solve it. He called them to resolve it by compromise. They did not agree. So, and yesterday, they started blowing up pipelines. Is it until they started killing people? Or is it until they start to kill people? No, you cannot expect the president to fold his arms when his house is in order. As the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, every nook and cranny, including my father's house, is under the supervision and authority of the president. And he will not want anything to happen there, because what starts like a mere misunderstanding can become a war. So the president has taken this move by declaring a state of emergency, and it did not start today. In the old Western region, the first state of emergency to be declared was in the Western region. I think in 1964, thereabout. And what the Constitution says, if in his opinion, is a kind of discretion of the president. Oh. He does not need to take permission from anybody. It's in his opinion. And again, let us not pretend as if everything is okay here. If we are not trying to be biased, in our opinion, all is not well with River State. You understand? Okay. It has been from one crisis to the other.
Okay.
Don't be surprised. It can lead. I can get out of hand.
Yes. Okay. So let me ask a question, right? First of all, so you said that all of us and all the states are under the guidance of the president. That this is something that the pipeline was busted. We've not even done the investigation for us to know why or who busted the pipelines. And pipelines are busted in the past. And then thirdly, we, as a lawyer, you know that there are specific guidelines and outlines for a state of emergency to, under section 305, subsection 3, specifically. Yes. So that means we even know that the underlisted, none has happened so far in River State. Then let's look at the northern part of Nigeria, where things are actually happening, where there's Boko Haram and so many insurgencies and terrorist attacks, where there's actually kidnapping, where we have issues. You cannot compare what's happening in the north with what's happening in River State. Why has the president decided to now call a state of emergency in River State that the issue wants to start or is about to start or might not start? What happens to the northern states that issues have been happening? Why has a state of emergency not been called in the north?
Yes, you have made a very good point, but then we will explain it and understand it very well. If you look at it, those instances that you cited, they are not applicable here. What is happening in the north, yes, there's a challenge to security. Okay. Do you understand? Now, there is no challenge to governance. Nobody has said the governor should not come into his office. Nobody has said the House of Assembly should not sit, because the paraphernalia of office or the authority of office, what makes a state to be peaceful is when the governor, the local government chairman, the councillors, the House of Assembly member, the rep, they can perform their duties. Okay. In a situation whereby the governor can no longer hold forth, a situation whereby the House of Assembly can no longer hold forth, a situation whereby the local government cannot hold forth, what happens? It's anarchy. But in those states you have cited, Boko Haram, fine. Cattle rustlers in Kaduna State, what they call them, terrorists in Borno. There is a Zamfara, that's what they call them. There's another thing. There's another name. Kidnapping and other insurgency. All these people, they have not disturbed the governor from accessing the office. They have not disturbed the House of Assembly from accessing the office. The House of Assembly of the states have not been sitting and talked. We enter and take the mace and run away. We are heading to anarchy.
So like there are different
issues. Oh, okay. In Borno, when it was declared in those days, it has got to the stage that nobody could even move freely. Do you understand? Do you understand? In Borno, in Taraba, in Adamawa then, you understand? You could no longer, even they go to banks, break it up and so on and so forth. But here, it will get to that in Rivers if the president fails to take an action.
Yeah, we'll take a short break here so that when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're still discussing the state of emergency in Rivers State, and Miriam was ready. Okay.
So for me, I've always been about the people. The security of the people is paramount for me, beyond the legalities or the politics of everything. And so for, personally, I'm thinking this is a region in Nigeria where we know that things can escalate quite quickly. The River State, we know there have been instances where there's been civil unrest, and before you know it escalated. And so for me, I appreciate that the president stepped in quick enough, before it becomes human casualties. And if you remember, Plateau State too had a state of emergency was declared. A state of emergency was declared on Plateau State because of civil unrest. In Adamawa State, state of emergency had been declared as well in 2013, I think, because of civil unrest. So this is beyond tribalistic, any notions. This is about the people and making sure Nigerians are at peace. Forget all the politics and tribal conversations. Now, having said that, I know that many people have complaints about what has been done. And one of the things I heard is on the legal part is that when the state of emergency is declared, it has to be ratified, meaning that the Senate has to sit down and discuss and sort of accept it before it is implemented. And that wasn't done in this case. Secondly, one thing I'm hearing over and over again, and to me also is an issue, is many people say the issues that are happening in Rivers State seems to have the Minister of the FCT right at the center of it. Why declare a state of emergency, sort of incapacitating the governor, when the person who is described as the person that's talking, nothing has been done to him. So people are asking, suspend the FCT minister as well for his alleged involvement in what is happening in Rivers State, and then maybe people will see it more as a fair way of dealing with this issue than taking sides.
You see, when you look at it very well, I have a problem. I have said it in another forum, I think yesterday or somewhere, that the Section 305 itself has a problem. You understand? Because the section says the president shall, by an official gazette, make the proclamation, and it will be in official gazette of the federal government, and we send the notice of the gazette to National Assembly, to the Senate President, and to the Speaker of the House of Reps, who shall convene sitting. Now, to sanction that proclamation. However, yesterday, the president has declared the state of emergency. He has already appointed an administrator. Now, he has sent the notice to the National Assembly. Will they now sit and come and say, oh, don't do it again? When the head has been cut off, do you start to smile? He has taken the bold move again already. It has crystallized, it has snowballed to an act of the state. There is already an administrator. You are now, it's like putting the cat before the horse. Our constitution should have been amended to be that he will propose the state of emergency before the National Assembly first. The Senate will consider it, the reps will consider it, whether to vote yes or to vote no. If they do that, the public will not even be talking now, because the National Assembly represents everybody in Nigeria. You understand? And they will have said, oh, declare the state of emergency, let those who support say aye, and those who are not supposed say nay. They will do that, and once they put their garment, that will be it. And the president will now go on air to say, I have declared a state of emergency, but our constitution was not framed in that manner. I think it's a big lacuna. You don't do something and start to ask for permission to do it.
After you have done it.
It's highly preposterous to commonsensical reasoning. It's not aligning with common sense at all.
That means you're not okay with the decision of the state of emergency.
No, the state of emergency, according to the constitution today, is valid. And again, to me, if you ask me, the conditionality stated in section 305, I think, is it 3H or something? There is a subsection there. All those things have happened when there is threat to security of life. Because there is a Chinese proverb that I will not prevent the bed of broom from flying on my ear, but on my head, but I will prevent the bed of broom from beating its net on my head.
True.
So when you look at things like this, now the pipeline is very important. You understand? It's like killing the chicken that is laying the golden egg. You have blown the pipeline. Maybe people will have been supporting you. You understand? But by doing that one, people will begin to support the president. To me, it's an act that have been, it's a section that have, the president has done the best in the circumstances. After all, it's 6 months. 6 months is just by the corner. If they are able to sit down now and talk sense to themselves and know that, oh, we are losing out, maybe they can reason. Because I can tell you also, if the House of Assembly is still in play and the government is still in play, there is nobody you will call that they will listen. But by now, they can listen.
They can now listen now.
Yes, they will listen very well.
Okay, so since the crisis started, I know, since I started following it, I know Fubara has been complaining, and he has been saying that the FCT minister is the one that is causing the issue in the House. So what has been done, since he has been mentioning the FCT minister as part of the problem, what has been done so that the minister can face his own state and leave the Fubara to run his own state? Because I understand that at least out of the lawmakers, 27 of them are loyal to Wike himself.
Let us do it this. Let us look at it from this angle. There is this legal term, voluntary non-fit injuria. No harm can be done to a consenting party. And in the word of Niccolo Machiavelli, he said a prince who becomes a king by the help of the nobles, we find it easy to maintain his position as a king because he was held by the kingmakers. But that a prince who becomes a king through the help of other princes will not be able to enjoy his position, because as a king he will find himself surrounded by people who think they are equal. Now let me tell you, you came into power through Godfatherism. This is the issue. Let us face it. Everybody knows, because if you are mentioning Wike, then we should go to the bottom. Now, you are mentioning Wike. Fubara himself was somebody who has benefited from the system of Nigeria.
Yes.
He got to the civil service of Rivers State, I think in 2002 or 2003. He rose to become an accountant general, which is equivalent to a permanent secretary that people will not get to until you have done 30 to 33 years in service or 34. So he has enjoyed that godfatherism and he maintained like a bad. He was working. Wike thought he was a very cool guy. Thought he could rough weather with him, or he could, somebody he could control. The guy waited patiently. I could remember a time when the AFCC went to Rivers to arrest the accountant general, the governor then. The Wike went to town. He chased all of them out of Rivers, because he was his anointed son. What has now gone wrong? But because maybe largesse of government and some other things, appointment of people and all that. He was allegedly, you understand? He was alleged to have influencing the appointment and all that. So when you allow this to happen, people are now thinking, should he bite the finger that fed him? He was not the most qualified person. So it is the godfatherism thing that is playing out now. People should know. If you're a politician, if you cannot follow a godfather to the ditch, don't allow him to endorse you. You stand on your own right to conduct an election. But I want to tell you, the president has exercised the power very well. And if the state of emergency in Rivers is not declared, we cannot say what will happen in the next day.
I like that. So what do you think is the way forward?
The way forward is for the warring parties to come together. You understand? But the governor...
Who will be mediating now? The president?
The president should mediate, because he's the only person that could say not to be interested. Now, when he mediated 2 times or 3 times, the governor ought to have reported back to him that, see what we did, we couldn't get anywhere. And don't forget, in fact, in the Supreme Court judgment, he said the governor was a despotic leader. So what else do you want? The Supreme Court said it. So if anybody is blaming the president, at that point, even the president can use that one to, you understand, to say, oh, this is what is happening. So I think, way forward, the warring parties should come together. And again, if Wike, the way it's alleged, if it's true, you should allow the guy to finish his tenure, and you should not support him the second time. But let the people of Rivers enjoy what they have purchased with their money. They have voted somebody to power. Let them enjoy that democracy.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with the constitutional lawyer, Barrister Kabir Akimbolu. Thank you for bringing light to the conversation. We hope Rivers State finds a way. I think they have about 6 months suspension.
Yes, suspension.
Yes, within that time.
But by the 6 months, you'll be having like 1 year to election. Because by June next year, they should be able to sort out themselves so that Rivers State can move forward. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll move on to yet another segment. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.